India, as one of the most influential and populous nations in South Asia, has complex and often strained relations with some of the neighboring countries. Geopolitical, historical, and socio-economic factors have contributed to the current state of these relations, which range from conflicts and border disputes to political disagreements and security challenges. While India has made efforts to foster regional cooperation and economic integration, several factors continue to perpetuate hostility with certain neighboring countries, including Pakistan, China, Nepal, Sri Lanka, Maldives, and Bangladesh. Let's discuss about the India-Pakistan relationship. The most prominent and long-standing adversary relationship India shares is with Pakistan. The roots of the conflict lie in the partition of British India in 1947, which led to the creation of two independent states, India and Pakistan. The partition was marked by violence and massive displacement, leaving behind a legacy of distrust and enmity. One of the central issues that fueled tensions between two countries, the disputed region of Jammu and Kashmir. Both India and Pakistan claim to occupy the region in its entirety, but each controls only part of it, leading to frequent clashes along the line of control LOC. The situation escalated in 1947 to 48, 1965, 1971, and at last 1999 during the Kargil War, when both countries engaged in full-scale military conflict. Terrorism, often attributed to Pakistan-based militia groups, has also exacerbated the hostility. Attacks like 2001 Indian Parliament attack and the 2008 Mumbai attacks have deepened mistrust with India, accusing Pakistan of harboring terrorists. Diplomatic efforts and peace talks have often been derailed by such incidents, and the nuclear capabilities of both oceans further heighten the risk of a large-scale conflict. Now, India-China relations. India's relation with China, while largely marked by economic cooperation, are also fraught with tension, especially along the border. The two countries share a continuous border that is not fully demarcated, particularly in the regions of Aksai Chin and Arunachal Pradesh. The 1962 Sino-Indian War, which resulted in the decisive Chinese victory, still looms large in the collective memory of both nations. Recent years have seen rising tensions, particularly after the 2017 Doklam Standoff and the 2020 Galwan Valley clash in eastern Ladakh, with casualties occurred on both sides. China's growing assertiveness in the South China Sea, its Belt and Road Initiative, and its expanding influence in the Indian Ocean regions are also seen as a strategic challenge by India. Moreover, India's closer ties with the United States, Japan, and Australia through the quadrilateral security dialogue have been viewed by suspicion by China, further straining these relations. Despite these challenges, India and China have continued diplomatic and trade relations, with China being one of the largest trading partners. However, territorial disputes remain a significant point of contention, and military confrontations continue to pose risk to the regional stability. Now let's discuss the India-Nepal relations. The relationship between India and Nepal, historically close due to shared cultural, religious, and geographical ties, recently become strained. A significant turning point occurred in 2019 to 2020, when Nepal released a new political map that included the disputed territories of Kalapani, Lipulekh, and which India claims part of its Uttarakhand and Uttar Pradesh states. Nepal's decision to include these territories in its map followed India's construction of a road through the Lipulekh region, which Nepal views as the encroachment on its land. While both countries have engaged in diplomatic negotiations, the issue has led to protests and growing anti-India sentiments in Nepal. Tensions were further exacerbated by the pandemic and Nepal's concerns over India's strategic interests in the region, including its close ties with China. The once cordial relations have since been marred by mutual distrust and allegations of interference in domestic affairs, further straining the relationship. India's relations with Sri Lanka have largely been grabbed by its proximity and shared historical connections, particularly in terms of its regional relation and culture. However, tensions have arisen over issues like treatment of the Tamil minority in Sri Lanka, India's involvement in the Sri Lankan civil war, and more recently, the strategic significance of Sri Lanka's participation in China's Belt and Road Initiative. India has often been critical of Sri Lanka's handling of the Tamil issue, particularly after the civil war, which occurred from 1983 to 2009, in which thousands of Tamil civilians were killed. India's decision to intervene in the conflict in the late 1980s through the India Peacekeeping Force was controversial and resulted in strained relations for years. Although the war ended in 2009, Sri Lanka's post-war treatment of the Tamil minority, including allegations of human rights abuses, continues to affect ties with India. The growing Chinese presence in Sri Lanka, especially with infrastructure projects like the Hydropower port, has also raised security concerns in India. India perceives Sri Lanka's growing ties with China as a potential challenge influence in the Indian Ocean region. This has created a diplomatic rift, although both countries continue to maintain cooperative relations on many fronts, such as trade and security. Now let's discuss about India-Bangladesh relationship. India and Bangladesh share a deep historical and cultural connection as well as a 4,100-kilometer border, the fifth longest in the world. Despite the geographical proximity and long-standing ties, their relationship has experienced occasional hostilities and tensions. These issues stem from historical grievances, border disputes, water-sharing conflicts, migration concerns, and trade imbalances. While the government of both nations have worked to foster cooperation, these underlying challenges occasionally strain their bilateral relations. First of all, border tension. Border disputes and security issues between India and Bangladesh remain a long-standing issue. This border has been a source of tension for decades, although the land boundary agreement of 2015 resolved many long-standing disputes such as the exchange of enclaves, sporadic conflicts persists. Cross-border smuggling, cattle trafficking, and border killings have fueled the mistrust between two nations. The India Border Security Force (BSF) has been accused of using excessive force against Bangladeshi citizens, leading to resentment in Bangladesh. Human rights groups have criticized the Kaladan border, which remains a continuous issue in bilateral discussions. Secondly, water sharing disputes. The sharing of river waters has been one of the most sensitive issues in India-Bangladesh relations. The Ganges Water Treaty in 1996 addressed water sharing of the Farah coverage, but disputes over the river persists. A particularly contentious issue is the sharing of the Teesta river, which plays a crucial role in the Bangladesh agricultural sector. Bangladesh has long sought a formal agreement, but opposition from India states, particularly West Bengal, has stalled progress. The delay has created frustration in Bangladesh, which views India as a failing to prioritize the concerns of its smaller neighbor. Migration and energy issues. Illegal migration has been a significant source of tension, particularly for India's northeastern states bordering Bangladesh. Many in India allege that undocumented Bangladeshi migrants have put an economic and social strain on these regions. This issue gained prominence with the implementation of the NRC, National Register of Citizens in Assam, a process aimed to identifying illegal immigrants. Statements by Indian politicians suggested that many of these excluded from the NRC were Bangladeshi nationals, sparking concerns in Dhaka. The prospect of the deportation created anxiety in Bangladesh and was seen as a potential strain on the bilateral relations. Trade imbalance is another one issue between India and Bangladesh. While India is one of the Bangladesh's longest trading partner, the economic relationship has been marked by significant imbalances. Indian exports to Bangladesh far exceeded exports, leading to criticism in Bangladesh about unequal trade relations. Additionally, Bangladeshi industries often face non-trade barriers when trying to access Indian markets. Issues such as this contribute to perceptions of economic dominance by India and feed into nationalist rhetoric in Bangladesh. Rohingya refugee crisis. The Rohingya refugee crisis has also tested in India relations. Since 2017, Bangladesh has hosted over 1 million Rohingya refugees fleeing persecution in Myanmar. While Bangladesh has sought regional international support to address the crisis, India's response has been cautious, balancing its relations with Myanmar and avoiding a direct role in resettlement of efforts.